Studio. SUNO Studio plus SUNO version 5 are some of the most interesting and enjoyable tools to work with in this day and age of ours. But I know lots of you are on the fence because you're not musicians and you're like, well, I've got SUNO 4.5. Now they're asking me to upgrade to get version 5. Why do I need to upgrade? Those of you who are on 3.5, you may be wondering why you need to upgrade. Trust me, 5 is really good. Now, Studio is a whole different ball game. When you click on Studio, let me explain what's going on. In SUNO Studio, you have the option of creating more dynamically, like a boss, like a producer, right, in the production seat. When you come into SUNO Studio, first of all, there's a lot of activity. It's a bit of a chaotic layout, I have to be honest. And there are different layouts. You got horizontal, you've got vertical. You may be a little bit confused, and I can understand why the confusion. But let me explain what's going on. Each of these colorful bars is an instrument or a vocal on the track. So you've got vocals, you've got synth, you've got effects, you could have percussion and all that. And if honestly you are not a musician, if you don't play an instrument, you've never worked as a producer, you've never manipulated audio across timelines, this could get you lost. You could be at sea. And even if you understand what is going on, the creative process requires a lot of musical intelligence and brain power. So if you've been playing with SUNO 3.5, 4.5, maybe even SUNO 5, but you come into Studio and you're like, I don't know, what's this? Look, you're not alone, okay? This is a video to give you the all clear. You do not have to subscribe to SUNO Studio. I'm just telling you the honest truth. I don't want you to waste your money or your time. If you are not musically inclined, like playing an instrument, you're not a producer, you're not a mix engineer, you're not a mastering engineer, you have never created with other creatives, and you don't play anything instrumental, it could be a challenge for most people. Now, for those of you who are adventurous and say, well, it's technology, I'm going to try, Phil, more power to you. Go ahead, knock yourself out on that stuff. It's all good. But I don't want to waste your time. And why am I talking like this? The reason why I'm telling you not to bother with SUNO Studio is, as a musician, as a producer, as a mix and mastering engineer, I have come in here and I can tell you, while it has a lot of promise, tremendous promise, there are certain aspects that are emerging, and until they get to the final cooking point, you could be quite frustrated in here. You could be frustrated trying to align what the system comes up with your original audio that you recorded onto the timeline. You could also be a bit frustrated if you're used to getting reverb plugins and delays, compression. You don't have that in here right now. So if you're looking for a finished DAW that just does cradle to grave everything, this is not the DAW for you, and even for you experienced musicians. When you come in here, you got to understand it's the creativity that's the value. Okay? I love creating in here, but it's not for everyone. You could get into Create and you could feel like banging your head on a brick wall because things are just not aligning and you don't know what to do. For example, over here you have the metronome, right? You can turn the metronome on or off. You can adjust the metronome to be manual or to be driven in other ways. And maybe you're trying to start the metronome and you don't understand why it's not starting. It's because you've not armed the track. There's so many things that could frustrate a beginner in here, I'll just tell you straight up. And then when you come over here to export, You can export either a full song, you can export multi-track, but if you've never done anything with multi-track, you might as well just stay in SUNO 5. Don't waste your time coming to studio feeling frustrated. I know some of you might be feeling left out and you want to join in the fun, but there are certain parameters here that you need a little bit more musicianship to enjoy. Okay? Let me go over the features one by one. We're going to start on a new project. When you open a new project, you have the option of dragging an existing audio. So an existing audio, let me look for an existing audio I did last night. Let's see, what's this? All right, I got to put my headset on. But this is my altar recorder, okay? This is a recording I did last night on my altar recorder, which is in the woodwind family. Flute. So I could take my recorder and just boom, drop it right in here. So if you don't have an instrument or a vocal or something to import, well, maybe you could look for something that you've done in the past from SUNO. But it really works nice when you've got something organic that you've recorded and you want to experiment to see, what can SUNO do to top that? So next thing you would do is you would click on the add track. You would add a track, and then you could choose this area, right, from here all the way to where it ends. And you could then say, I want to add percussion. And the style, you can just say, let's see, let me give you a spin around my website. So, you know, if you go to philc.net, I have a lot of environments here. So if you want to experiment and do what I'm doing, follow me to my website. It's philc.net. Let's move this away from here for a second. And let's bring in philc.net. So go to philc.net, go to environment generator, look for, okay, let's do Neo Soul. Let's just take everything as is, right? And let's say I want something worldish. Hit generate prompt. Let's copy that. And let's go back in here. And now for this, I'm going to prompt it to say Neo Soul. So I got to be careful. You see, this is part of where you got to watch it. You don't want to ask it to create so many instruments. So you could say a chill and relaxed Neo Soul drum track, okay, with a steady, punchy groove. All right, say done. And the next step is to just go ahead and create. It's gonna cost me 10 credits though. So for those of you who are very credit conscious, this is probably not what you want to do, because some people be like, I don't want to spend my 5 credits. Now you got 10 credits just for one instrument. You get what I'm saying? This is why I tell lots of you who don't have enough credits, it will get you winded very quick. So let's go ahead and play what this has done. So the logic of the system, you can see, even though I asked it to give me drums, it added in a bass. It was unsolicited. I didn't want it to add in a bass, but it did. So there's a number of things I could do. I could remix this section, right? I could add a new instrument. So let me do that. Let me add one more instrument. So a new track, and let me show you what else you could do. You could just arm the track by first of all selecting an input. So if I find a microphone that I want, let's use my USB mic, and you have to arm the track. And let's say I wanted to play my recorder again. Let's grab my recorder real quick, because I'm going to show you that if you wanted to multi-track on this thing, yeah, you can multi-track. So let's multi-track, and I'm just going to record directly on top of this thing, okay? Let's record directly on top, and here's my recorder, and to record, just hit the record button and improvise if you are an improviser. Here we go. Application error. A client-side exception has occurred. Uh-oh. Let me hit refresh. Don't be alarmed. These things happen. All right. I might have hit the record button one too many times. But just redo that. It'll go back to its original state, and you just hit record, and let's go. So that is the overdub. Now what you can do as a musician, you immediately think left and right, panning for that panning effect. So you could move one of these. Let's make it bigger so you can see what I'm doing. You can move one of these to the left and the second to the right. And when you're playing them back, you're going to have that dual effect. So what I'm hearing here is some additional elements. I can, one more time, add another track. I can select here, like that. And I could choose some strings. And I just say, nice, lush, viscous strings. Widely panned. I could even say orchestral feel, and say done, and just go ahead and create. And again, when you get your rendered track, you can pan the strings wherever you want. This is the fun that we musicians have, because we know the cause and effect of these DAWs, right? Even though it's not finished, we can get to a pretty satisfactory level of musical performance. We can export it, take it to another DAW, blow it out, get even crazier. So let's see what it has done. Check this out. Wow. So when you finally move this to a different DAW, you could go to town with these strings and move them up and down however you will. Very, very much like a real orchestra. Sounds good. Put in the drums. So this is part of what I'm talking about. This sounds really good, but there's just one thing that I need to sort out, and that is the strings need to be moved more to the, how do I say it, more to the front of the timeline. They are lagging. The strings are lagging. So as a musician, I know exactly what to do. I'm just going to shorten this a little bit. I'm going to hold down Control Z. I'm going to hold the Control key down, and I'm going to, with the Control key held down, I am going to first of all shorten this a little bit, and then I'm going to try my best to move it to sync on the beat. So I can tell that this probably needs to move a few rectangles forward. Let's see how much it needs to move. Let's try and get it caught up. Almost. See? Now we got it. That's it right there. Locked in the groove. Yeah. So we locked it in. So my friends, I hope this has given you an example of the possibilities, because now what you could do, a couple of things, you could choose to export this, right? Just export the full song, or you can export the multi-tracks. Let's click on that, exporting 4 tracks. They may take several minutes. And I mean, you could just go on creating and creating and creating. You can add vocals, but as you're seeing, the layering, right, it's not all going to sync up. You're gonna have to do some moving around. You're gonna have to be innovative as you use Studio. It's still in its infancy. It's still in beta. As you can see up here, it says beta version 1. So you got to allow it to do a little bit of hallucination, a little bit of artifacting, and it's getting there. And we're part of the pioneers helping it get there. So I celebrate that. I'm quite happy to be part of the first group of people that ever used the tool. I think it's a really awesome tool. It's not exactly there completely, but it's getting there. Okay. Now, what do you do when you have downloaded these things? There's so many things you could do. In addition to downloading all those waveforms, did you know that for like the strings, you can right click on this and you can just click on Get MIDI? Did you know that? So for those of you musicians who are into using MIDI, if I click on Get MIDI, it's going to download the MIDI for whatever instrument I am requesting. So if I'm requesting MIDI for strings, it's going to do that. If I'm requesting MIDI for the percussion, I'm going to get a download pop up here momentarily saying the MIDI file is ready, as you can see. So what I should have done is gone in there and named each track. So I could click on those three dots and I could rename this strings, for example, right? Hit rename, and I could do the same for all. So when I'm downloading the stems, right, I know what exactly I'm downloading. But let's click on the zip file when it's finally downloaded. Your zip file of multi-track instruments is going to look like this. It's going to look like this. So as a result of me not naming the tracks, it comes as track 1, 2, and so on. I should have actually named those prior. So let's see if I can do that again, multi-track. And while that's cooking, I'm going to show you a different DAW. This is Mixcraft, right? And for Mixcraft, there is a different layout. Because Mixcraft is what it has been for many years, it's easier to move around, to add your plugins and all that, which you can't do. Same for Logic and Pro Tools. You can kind of run circles around most DAWs by using those alternatives. But if you're using something like Studio, you don't have that much flexibility. But anyway, let's go ahead and let me show you what I'm talking about, because you can just take all of these and move them straight into your DAW once you have extracted them. So I'll have to extract them first. And once they're extracted, then I can just move them like so. Grab them, move them, drop them in there. And you can further manipulate the stems that you got from Studio. This is why I said, if you're not a musician, all this stuff is gobbledygook. For the longest time, just been making your music to make you happy, but now you have to understand a little bit more if you want to play with this stuff. And you got to make sure that everything lines up in your DAW. So I was playing this instrument. So some of these may need a little bit of help. So what can a DAW like this do that the DAW we're coming from cannot? Well, take this track, my recorder track, for example. Let's just put that on solo. I want to show you some things you can't do. So if I wanted to put a big old reverb on my original recorder, I can do that here by putting a plug in. I mean, if I wanted to bathe it ridiculously, I could choose a larger hole, make it really big. I can put some crazy delays on it. And there are many more plugins and effects that I could use to season this up pretty good. I cannot at the moment do that in SUNO Studio. And I'm okay with that, right? Because I've got another way out. But for those of you that don't, you might be just confined to Studio, and it could feel a little bit frustrating. Now, as far as the MIDI files that I've downloaded, I can just drag them in here, plunk them into an instrument channel. So this is showing I've got a couple of MIDIs. I've got acoustic bass and drums. That's what came in the file. So let's go ahead and mute all these tracks, and let's listen to what the drums sound like. Now, for this to work, you must select a drum kit from your DAW. So for me, I'm going to use a casual, simple drums. Any drum kits here. Let's check it out. You got to select drums. Definitely slower. And acoustic, with no acoustic bass on. We got to select an acoustic bass. Search for bass. And let's move it up an octave. Really low. Coldest Valley Productions, I appreciate you coming through. It's one of our honorable members. And Not Legeno, Nocturne, and Phoenix, everyone else who's come through, appreciate it. The imps of Lagging Land are trying to prevent me from broadcasting this stream, unfortunately. But I'm gonna keep trying to get through the sludge. If you got any questions about Studio, or you've got any questions about version 5, be sure to put them in the chat, because I'm going to be taking questions at the end. I am also eventually going to be sharing the evolution of this process in the final thing that is created here. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do that. You will be able to see the end result. All of my live sessions where I create tracks, I normally publish the tracks at the end. So what we're doing here is an evolution that will result in a final product at the end. And then you can always go back and listen. So if you have questions, please drop them in the chat. I'll be going through the chat as well. And please excuse the lag. It's Sunday afternoon. A lot of people using their internet, I guess. So please bear with me. Now let's continue the journey. So, I mean, that was pretty much the same sound. It's just that now you're hearing it with MIDI instruments as opposed to those real sounding instruments. But if you had a very good library, for example, that bass, I know it sounds a little bit whack, but if I chose to use my Trillion VST from the good people at Spectrasonics, then everything changes when I get a Laboriel or I get a John Patitucci or something else in my extra bass legend. So let's go for Marcus Miller, all fingers, and you can listen to the difference in the bass when it's finally loaded. And I've got various options. Let's go for Finger Funk from Laboriel. Try John Patitucci, 6-string funk. Or acoustic bass. That sounds good, yeah. So, my friends, one of the most killer features of SUNO Studio is the fact that you can get your drum kit like this drum stem. You've now got that in a MIDI format, and any producer worth his salt knows what to do with that track. If I really wanted to cook this track with a great drum VST, I know what to do with it. Let's make it a bit quicker. Let's listen to some of the real instruments. You can blend them. See. Now, if I wanted to make everything fatter, I could put some compression on it. I could doctor it up with some additional EQing. And I'm doing this real quick just for the illustration, but I could blend my drums. Also add some EQ to my drums here. Okay, then I could bring in my bass. You get what I'm saying? So I took that bass off the Trillion. I should have left the Trillion on. But if I bring back my Trillion and I go for one of those Marcus Miller basses, I'm going to get a much fatter sound than this puny little acoustic. In fact, the John Patitucci bass sounded like light years better. So I could use that if I wanted to keep it acoustic bass. So putting in a fatter bass from the John Patitucci VST, I have some sounding more like. the strings locked in a little bit better. And this is what I was saying. For those non-musicians, honestly, it will be very difficult for you to understand what is going on. And even if you do know something weird is going on, the control, you know, being able to control what you're doing could be very limiting. You know, you'd not be able to control what you're doing. So for this, I'm going to try to get the strings to lock in with the drums yet again. You see on the meter, it's where you want it, right there. Bring in your bass. We're gonna push them a little bit. I want a larger hall for that. So you can hear all the other embellishments I've made. You can also realize that I sacrificed some of the instruments and I went with MIDI instruments instead of the audio instruments, especially the jump padded Tucci bass. I ditched the bass from the recording and I went with the... That bass is fat. We can make it fatter with this 31 band. Tweak it up a bit. Just a little bit. It's got a nice mid pluck to it as well. So you can hear that second recorder is to the left. I've taken it off the grid just so it doesn't bother too much. And now you can see the evolution from studio, bringing things into this environment, playing with various VSTs. The next thing I'm going to do is mix this down, and then we're going to take it, we're going to have some fun putting it back, but not before I've done a little bit of mastering. You could pan this, you could put it in the background, so you can get some craziest stuff back from SUNO. Very sublime, and just in the background, just to give a little bit of secret seasoning to the final mix, and one more little secret seasoning in there, maybe a lead vocal that has a little bit more higher end frequency. So let's go ahead and have some fun with that. So with that done, we should be ready now, finally, for the mix. All right, now I'm pretty much ready to do the final zap, but I wanted to show those of you who haven't worked on a DAW, there's a very helpful feature in most DAWs. It's the metronome. We've even got one in Studio as well. But when you play the metronome, you know where to cut and where to join. So taking a listen to the end of the song. Hear that metronome? So if I wanted it to start again, I could snap everything on, make sure it's all trim right there, right on top, like that. Everything snapped on 18, like that. Boom, then it is gonna start again. And the way to get it to start again is just copy everything you've got and plonk it there again. So when it so if you want, with everything selected like that, you could skip the dramatic beginning and you could select everything again and close it in, and there you have the seamless. So because we've got such a variety of things, it would be prudent to block some of them in the beginning, like So now we've doubled up the song. We've given it some phasing in of the vocals and of the flute. And now when we mix it down, you've given SUNO something a lot better to work with. So now when we go back into SUNO, our work in Studio is done. So we're going to change gears and go home. And then we are going to go to Create. And let's close all that. Let's go to where we are experimenting in version 5. So I've got what I was doing in the Mixcraft done. So now I'm going to upload this to SUNO. And I just called it Peace on Earth. Let's double click that. Let's hit save. Let's hit cover. And let's hit continue. And when it's all uploaded, it's going to go into the familiar mode in SUNO. And there are so many things you could do, coupling that with the philc.net supersizer. I could just do a R&B soul, neo soul, chilled and relaxed, 80 to 100. Let's make it punchy and fat. Oh, you know what? Let's try the jazzy swung breakbeat. Muted upright is what it was. Some Rhodes, some jazzy voice-ins, warm analog, and let's make it evolving. Okay, then just hit generate prompt. Then we're going to take this. So I hope you're observing what's going on here. We are combining various elements from Studio to SUNO to Mixcraft, using some Trillion, using some of the effects we got in the VST and so on. So the lyrics are just, so we can have instrumental and just peace on earth. Peace on earth. We're going to have that a few times. But I need to put this style in here before I forget. Let's put that in there. Peace, oops, peace on earth. Peace on earth. Gonna get those vocals in there. Peace on earth, peace on earth. And then have some instrumental there. And have some instrumental. So we can say flute. We can give it options is what I'm saying. Like, as opposed to just putting instrumental there, I like giving it an idea of what I'm looking for. And sax. And let's take that. Let's make it a little bit bigger so we can see what we're doing. Okay. And we can say voices, oohs and ahs. And then we can take all this because we want to really get the best bang for the buck. We don't want it to stop halfway, because you just never know. Sometimes with SUNO, we got our prompt in there. Advanced options, we're going to crank the audio all the way up to 100. We're going to leave weirdness in the middle. Style influence is, let's make it 90 just to make sure it all gets the way I like it. This is the way I like it. Okay, peace on earth. And we're just gonna call this version 1. Okay, hit create. And it's like after all your hard work from Studio to Mixcraft, doing all that crazy stuff. When you feed a prompt, an audio prompt like this into SUNO, you know that you're going to get great output. It's inevitable at this point. Except you mess up the textual prompt, everything should work out really nice. So let's check it out. All right, let's turn up the volume so you can truly behold the awesomeness of SUNO version 5. It's taking what we got from Studio. We cooked it. Here we go. Talking about. And you got to remember, it all started with a recorder. It all started with that flute line. So this is the pleasure of building in Studio. You build to a crescendo, you add all the secret sources, you bring it back in, and you give it to the crazy version 5 and see what it does. Check this one out. Hallucination there. Trying to channel my recorder there. So you get the idea. It's very similar to the first one. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to go over to Persona. I'm going to choose one of my personas, Lorna. And Lorna's voice and the cadence of speech is really, really cool. It fits a lot of what I do. So I'm going to tone down the audio just a bit. I'm also going to pull back on that prompt, and we're going to use the Lorna prompt, and it's got a lot of secret seasoning in there. Let's go ahead and hit create. Let's sit back and let's see what else SUNO version 5 can do. I think it's going to give us some surprise here. Give us a good surprise, because the persona brings something that, like for me, when I save a persona, it's almost a perfect fit for what I want personally. So let's check it out. Yeah. That's it. Yeah, that's the vibe. That's that vibe. That Philly vibe with those horns. All right, let's check out the final one. I've kept you long enough. Took that recorder line. That was really good. And, you know, the pleasure is just seeing how it evolved from a pure little recorder line, and then it evolves and you keep building and building. SUNO brought some strings, and then we took it from the DAW back into SUNO. That's what makes it an even crazier arrangement to create, take it out of SUNO, bring it back into SUNO. And I'm just starting, you know, because I've got more ideas of what I'm going to do to this song, and you're going to see it in a few moments. I'm going to show you 3 different interpretations. I'm going to show you something that's more dynamic. I'm going to add some vocals, and I'm going to add some secret seasoning to get SUNO version 5 to kick into high performance gear. All right, I'll just let you see the back end of what I'm about to do with my tricky Philly persona. And with this, I am going to put some additional seasoning. I am going to use one of my secret sauces to modify this song a little bit, okay? And this exists in my Gemini Google canvas. So let me bring that up. So this is in my Playhouse. I showed everybody how to build this app in my, can't remember which episode it was. There have been so many of them. But it was one of the episodes that I taught how to build this app. But I'm going to now use the app. I'm going to eat my own dog food. I'm going to use it for my own stuff. So I'll speak the ideas. Peace on earth. Let there be peace in every region, every vicinity. Let people get along. Let people take it easy. Let people take it cool. Let people obey the rules, let people not do crazy stuff. I'm so sorry. Keep negativity at bay, keep positivity alive. Peace on earth. I'm so sorry I didn't show you what I was up to. I thought I was showing you what I was doing and I wasn't. So this is an app I created, right? And the way the app works, you speak your idea into the app and it generates a song based on the idea. So even though I have this, I also have the original song, which is this. So I have this original song and I'm going to go into my app and paste what I had from my original song. And I'm going to just cook up something, right? So generate song. And it's going to think, it's going to put all my ideas together. And I've trained it to give me a verse, a chorus, a verse, a chorus, something to that degree. Seems to have done a good job. So this is going to probably be like a mammoth song right here. So let's take it. We call it Peace on Us as opposed to Peace on Earth. So, okay. Let's go in to SUNO. Let's get rid of the old song. Let's put in the new song. And the style. Oh, the audio influence. Maybe 60s. Style influence. Yeah, because I want the persona to be up there. Pretty much. And I'm going to give it the exclusions. No instruments, only voice. And let's see if it complies. You just never know. Sometimes it's a toss-up. You just never know with SUNO. Sometimes it could hallucinate. Doesn't do it very often. I'll say about 10% of the time. So it's a toss-up. Let's listen to this one.
In every region, every cherished land we roam, a silent longing calling us to come back home, to simple understanding, letting anger cease, and find the quiet comfort of our inner peace. Let's take it easy, take it cool, and just unwind. Leave all the frantic worries far behind. Oh, peace on earth, let the sweet anthem ring. The joy and solace that His presence brings. Let people get along, let spirits brightly glow. A gentle rhythm, steady, soft and slow. Keep negativity at bay, let shadows fall. Bring positivity alive, embracing all. Peace on earth, peace on us, let it be true. No crazy stuff, no hurried, careless strife. Just simple moments, celebrating life. Let kind intentions pave the path we choose. With honest hearts, we'll never truly lose. Let's just obey the rules, the bonds that make us strong, and share a lovely time where we all truly belong. Peace on earth, let the sweet anthem ring. The joy and solace that His presence brings. Let people get along, let spirits brightly glow. A gentle rhythm, steady, soft and slow. Keep negativity at bay, let shadows fall. Bring positivity alive, embracing all. Peace on earth, peace on us, let it be true. feel calm and free from every mountain to the deepest sea. It starts within each one, a whisper then a shout, turning our inner darkness inside out. Oh, peace on earth, let the sweet anthem ring, the joy and solace that its presence brings. Let people get along, let spirits brightly glow, a gentle rhythm, steady, soft and slow. Keep negativity at bay, let shadows fall, bring positivity alive, embracing all. Peace on earth, peace on us, let it be true. Peace on us, peace on earth, peace on us. Let there be peace on earth, peace on earth, peace on us, peace on us. Let there be peace on us. Peace on us.
That wasn't bad. A little artifacty thing at the end, which can always be cleaned up. Let's check this one out. Okay.
In every region, every cherished land we roam, a silent longing calling us to come back home, to simple understanding, letting anger cease, entwine the quiet comfort of our inner peace. Let's take it easy, take it cool, and just unwind. Leave all the frantic worries far behind. Oh, peace on earth, let the sweet anthem ring, the joy and solace that its presence brings. Let people get along, let spirits brightly glow, a gentle rhythm, steady, soft and slow. Keep negativity at bay, let shadows fall, bring positivity alive, embracing all. Peace on earth, peace on us, let it be true. No crazy stuff, no hurried, careless strife, just simple moments celebrating life. Let kind intentions pave the path we choose.
All right, my friends. The final bit of secret sauce that I'm going to show you here is what happens when you do an improvised style. Improvised. So I'm going to crank this a little bit up, and this is going to be Peace on Earth Jazz. And for the style, I'm going to go with 1950s, 60s big band, raspy, jazzy vocal duet, and soaring trumpet and sax, huge horn section. And actually, I'm thinking I should make this 80s. The 80s sound, it still has that analog and not as raw as the 50s and 60s. And that's kind of what I'm going for. Modern jazz chords, syncopated, acoustic bass, tread, drum kit, piano, and I could say background vocals, There's harmony. All right, I think we're ready to go with this, so let's check it out. And I didn't specify a male or female vocal, so I guess it's going to do whatever it sees fit. And I'm fine with that because I'm on such an experimental trip right now that anything I get, I'm going to run with it. Let's turn the volume up. Volume up, 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 up. Here we go.
In every region, every cherished land we roam, a silent longing calling us to come back home, to simple understanding, letting anger cease, and find the quiet comfort of our inner peace. Let's take it easy, take it cool, and just unwind. Leave all the frantic worries far behind. Oh, peace on earth, let the sweet anthem ring, the joy and solace that its presence brings. Let people get along, let spirits brightly glow. A gentle rhythm, steady, soft and slow. Keep negativity at bay, let shadows fall. Bring positivity alive and break peace on earth, peace on us, let it be true. No crazy stuff, no hurried, careless strife. Just simple moments celebrating life. Let kind intentions pave the path we choose. With honest hearts we'll never truly lose. Let's just obey the rules, the bonds that make us strong, and share a lovely time where we all truly belong. Oh, peace on earth, let the sweet anthem ring, the joy and solace that its presence brings. Let people get along, let spirits brightly glow. A gentle rhythm, steady, soft and slow. Keep negativity at bay, Peace.
That's funny. That was nice. And we got one final one.
Cherished land we roam, a silent longing calling us to come back home. To simple understanding, letting anger cease, and find the quiet comfort of our inner peace. Let's take it easy, take it cool, and just unwind. Leave all the frantic worries far behind. Oh, peace on earth. Let the sweet anthem ring. The joy and solace that His presence brings. Let people get along. Let spirits brightly glow. A gentle rhythm, steady, soft and slow. Keep negativity at bay. Let shine. Brings positivity to your life. Embracing all peace on earth, peace on us. Let it be true. No hurried, careless strife. Just simple moments.
So, my friends, over the past number of minutes, we've been playing in SUNO. This track is good, but not as masterful as the first. So it's taking a trip to the trash, but it's not a bad one. You know, SUNO is so competitive against itself that sometimes you just have to say no. But I will definitely endeavor to put links to these when I eventually roll them out, and you'll be able to go back and listen to the final thing. I usually take them out of SUNO, I remaster them, I sometimes remix them, add some other ingredients, and you'll hear it when it's final. But thank you for joining me on this very extensive journey. What I really wanted to illustrate is how professionals could use Studio. It's not just a simple click of the button. When you get into Studio, you got to be ready to go for the long haul. You got to be able to experiment. You got to be ready for things to fail. This recorder lick that formed this song, I recorded it yesterday, and it was a fail when I tried to get SUNO to give me tracks to go with it, and I was trying to get more like an Asian vibe for some Chinese music. It didn't work. But that same recorder lick, when I made it in a neo-soul environment, it just worked, and I kept building and building and building, and that's what got us to this song. So with Studio, there are a million ways that you could work. You got to be patient. Patience is key. So thank you very much for joining me on this trip, my friends. We'll let this one take us out. See you soon. And now will be a good time. If there are any questions, please feel free to ask. But I want to give a shout out to all those who came through today. We had a number of friends who came through. And I just wanted to say a quick thank you to everyone who was part of today's journey. It was quite a journey, to be honest, because what we did today was start from the very beginning, from a humble recorder. You know what I'm saying? I mean, who would have thought an alto recorder would be the beginning. You get what I'm saying? An alto recorder was the beginning of what eventually became an EP. You get what I'm saying? It started off very simplistically, and then it evolved. It started off very simple. It was actually a recorder lick I played, and I wasn't very happy with the output. In fact, I have a video about that. I'll probably share that video with you folks, but I didn't like what I got out of the first interpolation with Studio. You know, the thing about Studio is, if you're not a musician, if you're not an engineer, if you're not into some form of production, it could be very frustrating. I think our friend Nocturne mentioned this earlier about the grid. You have to do a little bit of prep, get the tempo set, get everything on the stage, and it's a little bit of a hassle. But at the end of the day, I got the results, right? I got the results. So in the chat, I am sharing with you the piece on Earthlink. So DistroKid, they don't waste time. It gets to DistroKid, and you know, before you know it, DistroKid has banged the thing out in like a couple of hours or even less. So yeah, so let's take a look at some of the questions. Notley Geno says, I think showing people the workflow you use will help a lot of people. I hope so. Matthias says, any chance that you can listen to my song on the stream? I'm lagging so bad I wouldn't even attempt it. But if you put it in the chat, did you put it in the chat? I don't think I saw you put it in the chat, Matthias. Put it in the chat again, and I'll check it out. Okay. What do I wish they improve? Well, you know, it's an evolution, NLJ. It's an evolution. So what I'm seeing is gonna happen. They're probably gonna have, you know, after version 1.0.0, they'll probably have version 1.0.1, or they may just go to version 1.1. But the how should I explain? They got to do some optimization first of all on that website, cause using a DAW in a browser with a measly 8 gigabytes is hard for some people depending on what else they're doing with their system. So I hope they continue to optimize it. Like on my 16 gig laptop, I have no problem running it, but on my 8 gig desktop, which is where I'm streaming from, I couldn't even bring it up. I couldn't conveniently stream and have the DAW open. It was lagging really bad. Normally it just gets to 100% quick. So if you're using anything less than 16 gig and you have a lot of apps running, you might want to close some of the apps. So I hope they keep optimizing the system. They're doing a really good job with it. I don't want it to sound like Oliver Twist, like I'm asking for more greedily. I'm just saying I hope they optimize it. What else can they do? The grid that Nocturne was talking about, that grid is a little bit temperamental, and if they were able to mark more clearly whether it's minutes or seconds, or whether it's beats, the way most DAWs are, you can flip between the counts. That would be nice to see. I don't see that. Yeah. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, our friend Miami Blues, welcome. Miami Blues says, I went to studio. You're correct. Patience is important. And as you mentioned yesterday, there are glitches. Absolutely. And now I must use a DAW outside the studio, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. Oh, Matthias, did you drop the link again? I can't see that link, my friend. Where is it? Drop the link again. I don't care if you drop it 10 times. Drop, or were you blocked from dropping it? Did it block you from dropping the link? Drop the link again. So anyone that has music that you want to share on these lives, if you know, as long as you are the owner of the music, just drop it in. Drop in any link you've got. Anyone who has music to share, that's what the community is all about. If you're like, wow, this is banging, it's killer, you got to listen to it. I need you to drop it. Drop it in there, you know. That's what it's all about, because the only people who are able to chat are people, right? So as long as you're able to chat in here, it means that you're a subscriber to the channel, and that's the whole idea. So we have to do less policing with the trolls who hate AI music and they bomb the broadcast. We don't want that. We don't want the trolls to strike. So thank you, Matthias. I'm looking forward to your link. Kulusvari Production says, yeah, the studio can get complex. Yeah, it can. It can get complex. Conrad, welcome. Conrad said, you seem to agree with the Reddit guy in terms of the mixes not being... So there's a difference between not being good and not being 100%. And I agree with you. I would say they are... I think 80% is a fair estimate. But, you know, for the Puritans, and don't get me wrong, I can be a Puritan if I want to be. But I've grown out of being a Puritan because I realize it doesn't help my vision, my goal, my objective. I mean, I've been a Puritan for years, but you get to the point where you realize you're getting in your own way. You are obsessing over stuff that the 5% don't even hear it. The 5% hear it. The 95% are the people who don't hear it. So out of the populace, let's do a quick analysis. Out of the populace, there's going to be the 1 to 5% who are the obsessed. The studio engineers, the mix engineers, they go out with their family for dinner and they're critiquing what they're hearing from the stereo. They are listening to everything with a bias. And some of you might have heard my mastering engineer, David Shirk, talk about this. We're kind of wired that way. You hear a mix, and instead of enjoying your dinner, you're busy critiquing the level of the lead guitar or the panning or the lack thereof, right? Or the over compression. But that's just about 5% max of the entire populace that are that obsessed. Then you have another 20%, roughly, right? 10 to 20% of the populace that is able to hear imbalances in levels, imbalances in tone, but they're not as obsessed as that 5%. So a lot of what this guy on Reddit was referring to, if he's a gifted audio engineer and he's able to hear what other people don't, then he is the 5%. But I'm not going to be obsessed with what the 5% hear and the others don't. Instead, I'm going to be obsessed with getting my message out in a way that is accessible to everyone in a timely fashion, because I'm the poster child for having hundreds of songs never released, never went to the studio, or this is worse. In fact, I'm really glad you asked this question because it's bringing flashbacks of a lot of cassette releases that I've had that I'm thinking I'm going to put those things in SUNO, because I have a lot of music from the 90s. And I'm really appreciative of you mentioning this, because it's reminding me I have tons of music that hasn't even gotten anywhere near SUNO. And I got to go hunt for those DATs, you know, those little DAT tapes. I'm going to find a way of getting that stuff into SUNO, because, you know, what kills a lot of people's creativity and vision is perfection. So you get to 90% perfect, 90%, and it never sees the light of day because you're 100% Puritan. And I used to be like that. I have a lot of stuff on DATs, never saw the light of day. I have a lot of stuff on cassette. Some of them were released and others never saw the light of day. So I got to go back in. So while I agree with him in some respects, I don't agree that the stems are unusable. I don't agree about the bleed he was talking about. I would be an idiot to lie to you and say, "Oh, Suno is 100%." No, Suno is not 100%. None of these AI tools is 100% yet. They're close, and then again, 100% is relative, right? I have some people that just prefer acoustic instruments. Even a keyboard is sacrilege to them. They'd rather be on piano any day, and I don't begrudge them for that, right? So we're all different in our tastes, but I think one thing we can agree with is music is advancing and technology is advancing too. All those plugins, right, that we want to see in, from Logic and Pro Tools, we want to see all those our favorite plugins that we use in there. We want to be able to use them in SUNO Studio. But come on now, Pro Tools has got 20 plus years on Studio. For Studio to be as great as Pro Tools and Logic, it's going to have to go through some sort of evolution. I see them working hand in hand. I am not going to try, the treatments that I do in other DAWs in Studio. Studio is good for the creation process. I know it will evolve and eventually become like a competitor of Pro Tools and Logic and the other big dogs. But for now, I don't think that's the purpose. So if you go to, let me see if I can share that with you. If you go to the blog that they have up there for Suno, you'll see the unique selling proposition. I can't find it right now, but they have a unique selling proposition for Studio. And the unique selling proposition is not the treatments, it's the creativity, if you get what I mean. But very good question. You made me go off on a rabbit trail there. Okay, let's see what else we have here. NLJ says, I find the interface is what needs, oh yeah, what needs the most work. If you could wave a magic wand and add any feature, what would it be? It would have to be definitely the plugins. So I would be Oliver Twist. I would ask for plugins. I'll ask for the grids to have minutes and beats, per second or whatever. I would ask for a lot. I wouldn't just ask for only one thing. But I think plugins, for now, plugins is what will hurt them the most. But if there are plugins, if there's plugin functionality, it is going to lag the system further because it's already struggling as it is on a 16 gig. Just dragging across the grid, holding down the control, it can be a little bit laggy. So they're going to have to optimize. Oh, it doesn't let. Oh, I see. Okay. Okay. The votes for that for that track, I think I've got like seven yeses and one no, because people are like, it's already good. Why do you want to go put it inside version 5? And I agree with them. And some people are averse to version 5, so I appreciate the people who said no, don't do it. Yeah, but if I do get up to 1,000 votes, yeah, I will definitely put it into Suno. I don't care about, I'm not scared of what Suno is going to do to it. I don't know if you watched Mikey, the CEO of Suno. He had an interview last week, Friday, I believe it was, with an artist. And what he disclosed is Suno doesn't learn. Watch this. Suno doesn't learn from your input. I was shocked because most people are saying, oh, Suno's going to learn from. He said Suno doesn't learn from the user's inputs. Let me see if I can find that interview with Mikey and who was it now? Can't remember his name. He's a producer. He had an interview last week, Friday, and that was the first time I ever heard, but the CEO from his mouth came the words, Suno doesn't learn with the input. And it would make sense because the inputs of the users, while it goes through the filter to make sure you truly own it, you don't want to teach Suno garbage, because some of the inputs could actually end up being garbage. You know what I'm saying? So you cannot afford to teach Suno based on the inputs that some random users are putting in. So that makes sense. Yeah. Miami Blue says I must upgrade my PC, and I'm. Aren't we all financially challenged? Aren't we all? Yeah. Hey, Conrad. Conrad says they have a vested interest in tearing down Suno and AI in general. Those people, yeah, those people, yeah. And it shows a lack of imagination to be scared. Yeah, it does. It does. NLJ said eventually every door will have AI fully embedded in it. You know what? You're very correct. And I feel that, we have a lot of my generation and the people before my generation, and they're trying to resist. They're trying to fight because, them growing up with these rock bands. I grew up with a lot of rock bands, and that nostalgia, you don't want to let go of that. You cannot imagine letting go and having some dumb AI tool, which is actually smart, by the way. Some dumb AI tool replace your beloved artists. But honestly, I think a lot of the beloved artists, I think they're going to be replaced somehow with people who embrace technology into their creative process. Like Grimes, I know some people are not fans of Grimes, but what I like about Grimes is her open-mindedness to say, you want to use my voice? Go ahead, use it. Let's split it 50-50. But people demonize artists who are AI leaning. Even the great Jordan Rudess. Jordan has his AI channel, as awesome as he is, as crazy as he is on the keys. He actually created an app that is pretty much an AI app. So some people are open-minded to it and they're seeing beyond it. For someone in their late 60s to be that embracing of AI, it's awesome. But a lot of people in their 70s and 60s, they refuse. They're like, no, this is just killing the art. Even people in their 40s. So it's just going to be a matter of time, as you're saying, Miami Blues. I see with time all these DAWs, because it's all about the bag, right? For many of them, it's about the bag. That's what they're after. And if they're not getting that change, they're going to have to adapt. Or they're going to be eaten for dinner. Suno's going to buy them. Just give it a matter of time. Give it a matter of time. Miami Blue says, I wish Studio will let me save the stems as a mix. I think you can do that. So I think you can just go ahead and mute the tracks that you don't want in the final, and then you can just mix down those ones, can't you? Because I know Moises, it's funny you mentioned that, because for the longest time I've gone to Moises to do that. So I take my tracks, I put them in, and then I mute the ones I don't want to appear, and I do a final mix down of that in Moises. And I always thought Studio could do the same. Maybe I actually need to put it to the test today. So I'm going to put it to the test. But I think when you mute, you can do the full song, and I think it will mute those that you've muted. I'll have to test that when we get off. Yeah. NLJ said, I started off with a 4-track. Those were the days, those Tascams. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you, my friends. It's been a pleasure. Any other questions or comments? Because when it comes to Studio, I don't want people to think I'm hating on Studio. I'm not. I love Studio. I love everything it can do. Didn't you see that string quartet that it came up with? And it was so filling and widely panned, and the effects on it. So even though Studio doesn't have the ability to plug in the effects you like, when you generate stems with your prompt, you can prompt for whatever effect you're looking for. And it's a toss-up, I know. But you very well might get something that you can use without needing to put a plugin or reverb or anything else on it. Okay? All right. KP, Colors Vary Productions, Says Ghost Shred is amazing. Not the easiest thing to play. I haven't dabbled. Oh, you're talking about Jordan Rudess. Okay, yeah. Oh yeah, it does look amazing, and I'm really considering getting it. He made it available for free a few weeks ago. Yeah, but it looks like it. Have you played it? Because from what I'm seeing, if you have the ability to play the piano as you do, I think you'll find it intuitive. Have you tried it? Let me know if you've tried it. GeoShred. Yeah, yeah, GeoShred. Yeah. Mastering. So I don't do mastering services, but I can recommend. I can recommend what to do. There are two things I would recommend. Maybe downloading the Isotope mastering suite and play with it, or just use Lambda. Take your tracks, drop them into Lambda. So tell me, Conrad, what kind of music do you do? Do you do AI stuff? Because here's the truth. Here's the truth. If you do AI music, and your AI music is all done within SUNO version 5, for example, if you take the download of that and you put it into Lambda, you're going to get something pretty decent. Now, if you don't stop at version 5 and you're taking the stems out of version 5, putting them into a DAW, then that's a whole different ball game, because now you have to mix and then you have to master. But if you're not doing that, I would say what Lambda gives is a very good beginning for anyone who's using SUNO version 5, depending on your taste. For me, like the Peace on Earth tracks that you're going to hear on that album, I took them out of SUNO and I put them into the DAW, and I did some pre-mastering on them with Isotope before taking them and putting them into Lambda, deciding on what Lambda settings to use and taking it back out of Lambda into Nero and cleaning up any of the artifacty stuff that you hear in the beginning and the end. So it could be a process, but if you're just straight out of, okay, so you write your own melodies, okay. Oh, you sing into Suno, okay. Yeah, so Lambda to master is good. The only thing that Lambda, so you sound like you're capable, right? I would highly advise looking into some additional plugins. Isotope is really good. I mean, the moment you put in Isotope, just the basic mastering essentials, you are going to get a mix or a final master that has a lot more width. Because while I get excited about Suno, when you compare the before and the after to what the Isotope plugin can do, it's like night and day. Isotope puts more body on it, it's more filling, and it expands it, not unbearably, but within reason. But again, you have to be willing to play with it. You know what I would recommend, Conrad, on Fiverr.com? If you go to Fiverr.com and you look for the top mastering engineers, they might be able to help and give you a master at a really reduced rate. But if your music was just straight out of version 5, I would say just go with Lambda. But since you're doing some more stuff and adding your vocals, and yeah, so you write your melodies, lyrics, and then you sing into Suno. So what do you mean? Like when you sing into Suno, are you using your voice in studio, or are you singing into Suno to get Suno's own voice? Let me know. Because if you're singing into Suno, but you're using Suno's own generated vocals, I think Lambda and Isotope should be a good blend for you. Let me see if I can find the Isotope link to share with people in the chat, because for those who want to go a little step further, you might want to look into, and you know, I'm aware that it does cost money, but Ozone is quite renowned. Let me just put a link in here, and then you can You can check out the rest. I'll leave it up to you to decide. And some DAWs come with mastering plugins, like Mixcraft comes with the Isotope Essentials. So, okay. Oh, and BandLab. Okay, thank you, KP, for sharing that. BandLab is another one that you can look into, and it's free. Oh, that's crazy. BandLab. Okay. Well, we'll take a look at that. And Moises also has its own mastering abilities too. And it's not bad. Moises' mastering was not bad at all. And it has different settings. You can either go custom or you can go with what it has. So BandLab, let's put that in the chat for those who are looking for something low cost. Yeah, Isotope is pricey, but that's why I like what Mixcraft has done. Mixcraft partnered with Isotope to make the mastering essentials available for no additional cost. You just need to have a Mixcraft account, and when you download the software, it comes with Isotope. It makes a big difference. And this isn't even Ozone. Ozone is crazier. But, you know, what I like simple. I like keeping, as you notice, I don't use Logic. I love all of the DAWs, Logic, Pro Tools. I use them with other engineers, but when I'm working alone, I just like simple. I'm a very simple music person, so I apply a lot on the front end to the creativity, but when it comes to the mixing and the mastering, I like simple. I've done the whole console, racks of effects. I've done all that. My effect rack, I disassembled it. I don't even use it anymore. I don't use my mix board. I don't, all that stuff. I don't use it anymore. I've scaled down. I'm simple. I want to focus on the creativity. I believe we've been spoiled by technology, and I believe a lot of people go overboard on the tech and not enough on the creativity. So I'm very different than a lot of producers. I'm very minimalist. You see, I could use a drum on a table, and I could get out a pan and start beating on it, and that becomes the beat, and I just add to it. So I'm very minimalist. Very minimalist. Yeah, that's true. Studio One is another very simple DAW. So if you have ever purchased any of those audio boxes from Presonus, Studio One is another friendly DAW to use. I have Studio One as well. I don't use it, very much. I think I've used it for a couple of tracks ever. But again, it's another nice one. I don't know if it comes with any mastering plugins out of the gate, but for those who are keen on taking their music up a notch, what you get from SUNO is very good, don't get me wrong, but when it comes to that additional polish, yeah, you gotta go the mastering route. You got to go the mastering route, even if it means just taking the left and right out of, just take your track out of SUNO, but do something, engineer it, and you'll be amazed. There's a difference. Sometimes I want to bury my head in the sand and say, oh, there's no difference. And that's when I'm being lazy. When I don't want to go the full mile, I use the excuse, right? But if you really want to go the full mile, just take your track and just put a drop of Isotope in there. Your eyes will become wide open. And then when you compare SUNO to a lot of the professionally generated tracks, mastered tracks, mixed tracks, created tracks, beats done with humans, like real high end, I'm talking about the big three, like the Warners and the Sony people. Yeah, the UMG people. When you take those pieces of work, please do a little experiment and listen to the difference of mastered work versus just an average track out of SUNO. It's a big difference. So if you want your work from SUNO to stand out, you must master it. For the masses, they won't really hear, but like I said, you got a 20% of the populace that may be sensitive to those things. They may be able to hear it a bit, but definitely the 5% of junkies will know, oh, this doesn't sound mastered. This sounds too centered. This sounds flat. This doesn't sound robust enough. This has no width. It has no dimension. So if you want your work to stand out, that secret sauce, it's very evident. I was listening to a jazz track just last night from Brian Culbertson. His latest album just dropped. And when you compare that to what you hear from other SUNO tracks, you know a fully professional mastered track from one that hasn't been. That's just the harsh reality, but a lot of people don't care, But for those who care, or for those who want to put that seasoning in, it does make a difference. Even though people think, oh, I don't notice it, but there's something that pulls a final master track with the frequencies elevated properly, commercially, does make a difference. So if you don't know about mastering, I want to encourage you to learn more about it. I invited my mastering engineer, David Shirk, who's done everything from Tower of Power, Sheila E. He's mixed so many people, but mastered so many people's works. So I invited him for talks, and I've started putting some of those in our members section, and I'll keep putting more of those interviews with Dave. But it's really inspiring to know that in and of itself is a career that people could pursue. As Conrad was asking, there's some people that do professional mastering. I remember when I first started looking for additional mastering help, my buddy Dave Shirk, who's been in the industry for such a long time, but he had to leave the industry because kids in the basement play with music, Pro Tools. It watered down how many people were looking for mastering engineers. So he shifted industries, and when I started looking, I found some mastering engineers who would charge very little. Now you can find them on Fiverr. But beyond the Fiverr mastering engineers, Landa, L-A-N-D-A. I got to give a shout out to Landa. Landa, the boys and girls at Landa, they've been so good to me. They've been helping me for years since Dave left the industry. Go to Landa. I highly recommend Landa. Landa pretty much distributes what I do through their distribution channel. But when I'm doing anything under Phil the Creator, it goes through DistroKid. When I'm doing stuff as Phil C, that goes through Landa. So shout out to Landa. They've been really good over the years, quick to get back, quick to send emails, quick for clarification, and they really do vet everything you put out, even down to did you use a loop? And if you use the loop, you got to give that accountability, right, in Landa. So that's why, releasing AI music through Landa is tricky, because they're going to probe and ask you questions. DistroKid, they don't police it as much, but nonetheless, you got to do everything responsibly. But I use Landa to distribute my other work, is what I'm saying. My friend Colbane Studios, should I master my tracks from SUNO? Absolutely. Absolutely. You bring up a good point. I really wish my system would let me show you, but I think it's gonna lag. Maybe I have to do a video about this, Colbane. Isotope, I'm not sure if you can do it in Ozone, but in Landa, you can master in bulk. This is something else I like about Landa. In Landa, you can take up to 20 tracks, and you can dump them all in one folder, click a button, walk away, and then come back. Within 10-15 minutes, it gives you the first take. Now you, as the human in the loop, you got to go listen and decide, do I want it ultra loud? Do I want it warm? Do I want it sharp? Landa gives you the opportunity to look at those settings, and as the human in the loop, when you're listening to it, you're like, no, this can't be that loud. And other times it does need to be that loud. So you got 3 parameters for loudness, you got 3 parameters for warmth, and you got to choose. Most times it's dead set in the middle, But other times you need to crank the loudness up. So, Colbane, I would advise you to try Lander. It's worth it. It really is worth it. And not only do I master stuff that I do for my releases, many of the audio and video things I present on YouTube, like I could go back, like I have a track in my other channel, I'm playing George Benson's Dreamin'. Well, I could take that track and I could elevate the frequencies, take it back into my video production, just so that people are watching and listening to something that they would really enjoy. So I would advise that. Yeah, mastering, you need to know when you're going overboard. When you're not. So with mastering, if you're really serious about your craft, and this is for anyone listening to me that does anything in SUNO, yeah, it doesn't hurt. Even if you're not doing the Ozone or the band, is it Band Lab that KP told us about? Bandcamp, Band Lab. Even if you're not going that route, just do one. Maybe you've got a Moises account, then do that. Because it will elevate the frequencies of your music to a tolerable degree. And while a lot of people never notice, some do. So, yeah. Is Lander like DistroKid? Yes. So Lander does a number of things. Lander does mastering, but Lander also distributes. Now, when it comes to distributing AI stuff, I've heard from a lot of people, they get a lot of pushback from Lander submissions, and I don't blame them. They're trying to preserve their record, track record. DistroKid is probably better if you wanted to distribute something from SUNO, but Lander may give you some grief, and rightfully so. Even down to loops, like for productions I've done in the past, even if I use just one tiny little loop, they're going to want that information, and you got to submit it with a track. So it's a very inexhaustive, you just got to keep submitting loop after loop. If you use like 10 loops from 10 different loop packs, you got to put them in. So, but as far as the mastering, yeah. But what I master in Lander, I'm not submitting it through Lander. I'm just using it for the mastering, and you can use Moises like that as well. Does Lander allow it to be monetized? Yeah, but I would advise that you don't use Lander because you could get pushback if you're using SUNO. And I don't blame them for that. Oh yeah, it started as a hobby, but now it's... So, Colbane, tell us, what kind of music do you do? Is it like hip-hop, rap? Tell us, because I like to know what the stories are behind our subscribers. I'm happy for you, man. That's awesome. And for me, why I started getting into SUNO is because someone like you were just sharing. I'm not even a musician, but I'm collecting a bag every month. So she was sharing how she does it, and she was showing what she does in SUNO. I just looked at myself. I'm like, here you are being all proud. Yeah, I'm a musician. I can program anything. Peasant music. I started thinking, I need to go back and look into this AI music stuff. So that's when I dropped my ego at the door, and I started looking, and here we are today. Yeah. Hi Sasu, how you doing? Sasu says, how about investing in music lessons? Oh dear, yeah, music lessons. So again, for those people who want to learn music, please go on to my channel, philc.net, because I have free music lessons. I've actually developed apps to help teach people music. So I have a keyboard app on my site. You can learn your major scales, your major chords, intervals, all the chords, all the diatonic chords, 1, 2, 3, all the way to 7 for every key. I have an app that shows you what those things are. So please check out my site. If you're dabbling into music, you might as well learn some of it. You know what I'm saying? And I think it will help you in the long run. Yeah, Cobain Lander is definitely more detailed, but when it comes to my music, non-AI music, I distribute it through Lander for sure. Hi Vibes Man, how you doing? Vibes Man says just tuned in. Can Phil list the plugins he uses while in Mixcraft? Yeah, so singing with harmony. Let me see if I can find this link. Oh dear. I wish I could remember. My memory is not cooperating right now. It's funny because I put this link. Okay, I got a link for you here. So it's tinyurl.com. Isn't it so ridiculous what technology does to help those of us whose memories are challenged? I couldn't remember the link, but I just put it into Google, and Google has a better memory than I just put in Phil C vocals, tiny URL, and the answer came up. So that's the link to what I use for my harmonies. And it is from the company called Waves. And if you follow that link, it is called Waves. Is it called Waves Harmonizer? Waves Harmonizer, I think it's called. It is such a mind-blowing plugin. It's totally bananas. Let me see if I can find it. Although that link will get you to their website, but the actual harmonizer, yeah, just look for Waves Harmony. I'm going to try to share my desktop, even though this computer is going to be very upset. It is not going to like what I'm going to do. But I'm going to try to open up a website so I can show you this stuff. My computer is very upset at the lagging today. tinyurl.com/ Phil C. Harmony. All right, let's see if I can share this with you. Might go into lag overdrive, but it unfortunately is what it is. It's gonna be upset. All right. So bear with me if it goes into lag overdrive. My computer is struggling with the web today. So products, plugins, and you want to just look for vocal plugins. This one is called Waves Harmony. So if you go to my affiliate link in the chat, Phil C. Harmony, and then you keep searching on the site, it'll get you here. So yeah, Waves Harmony. This plugin is just I don't even have words to describe. It's ridiculous. It is one of the most ridiculous plugins I've ever used. Now, when you get in here, not only are you able to harmonize in major chords, you can harmonize in diminished, augmented. You could even create your own chords, you know. And the reason why I added a secret sauce for Peace on Earth, there's no way I'm going to sit down and do 5 different part harmony when I'm demoing this stuff for you. But I was able to do 5-part harmony in the blink of an eye, just a minute. Boom, you got your 5-part harmony. And then SUNO knows what to do with that. So I hope that helps someone. It's a highly, highly, highly recommended plugin. I remember I was doing some work and I just felt I needed a little bit more oomph. So I started searching and this came up and it's been so good. All right, I hope that helps. So Conrad, you do R&B, country, okay. Nice. Yeah, Rob, Waves Harmony. Waves Harmony, that's the one. Yeah. So that's my affiliate link in the chat. Just go to the website and look for Waves Harmony and you'll be rolling. It's a very good plugin. Okay, Colbane says, oh, I see. Okay, you do world music. Oh, okay. Ah, a mix of English, Egyptian. I need to get into some Egyptian music. Arabic and Spanish. Ah, that's cool. As my partner and I share those connections, that's awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, you just reminded me. That's why I like chatting with you folks. You give me ideas. And the Egyptian music, I got to do some Egyptian because I haven't dabbled, and I like it, but I haven't dabbled enough into it. Maybe you can be my coach. You tell me if what I get out is decent or not. But I love world music. In fact, I don't know if you folks have gone to my philc.net site. So Colbane, I need you to check out my site, and I need you to try some prompts. I need you to try some of my world music prompts and see if you can get anything half decent from it. Let me see if I can go there. Yeah, try out my world music generator on philc.net. This is what it looks like. So if you go to philc.net and at the top you look for world music up here, world music generator, click on that and you can go through the drop downs and come to think of it, I don't think I've done. I need to add Egyptian to this list. Let me see if I've got it under Africa. Do I have Egyptian? Yeah, I need to add Egyptian to that list. I have Senegalese, but I don't have Egyptian at. So thank you for that. You're giving me a good idea. I need to add some Egyptian music to that list. So I'm going to go in there and add some Egyptian once I get a chance to. Yeah. Because I love music of the world. It's a huge passion of mine. All right. Any other questions or concerns that we should collectively address? Questions, concerns, comments? Now will be a good time to address them. Because we don't get a chance to talk like this very much, do we? Oh, you tend to mix the languages. Okay, good. I hear that some languages are very well represented in SUNO and some are not. Really? Many types of Egyptian? Huh. Wow. Really? Interesting. I really get, so, if you were a musician, I would be asking you what are the scales and the harmonies used. This is why you need to go study music, Colbane, so you can teach me all the scales and the idiosyncrasies of the Egyptian music genres. Huh. I would love to learn that. Yeah. Well, my friends, there you have it. Over the past number of minutes and hours, we've been talking about SUNO Studio, SUNO version 5. For those of you who are on 3.5, listen carefully to me. If you want to release music that you do in SUNO, personally, I think you owe it to yourself to move from 3.5 free, because you know you can't even commercialize anything in 3.5, right? Except you are a member, right? Except you are a subscriber. So if you're still using 3.5 and you are a subscriber, stop using 3.5. Stop using 4.5. Seriously. Go to 5. And I don't work for SUNO, okay? They ain't paying me a dime. But my viewpoint is, if you want to bring out, you want to release anything you're doing commercially, not just because you have to, but just because version 5 is sick. Version 5 is on fire. I know it still has artifacty stuff. I know that you may need to do multiple iterations, but the results, the Peace on Earth album that I just worked on right in front of you, that's all version 5. All version 5. Everything. You see? So I encourage you, get a version 5. But if you just want to play and have fun with friends, create silly songs, you know, put them on your YouTube, non-commercial use, yeah, 3.5 is okay. But if you want to play the high stakes, version 5. If you've been looking at Studio, wondering if you should go over to the dark side, if you're not a musician, don't get version 5. Don't get Studio. Get version 5. Don't get Studio, because you'll hate me if I told you to get it. Because when you get in, you'll find it very hard. So don't get Studio. Stay with version 5 until you know enough about DAWs, until you know enough about music. You don't need to worry about Studio, okay? I don't want to be a snake oil salesman asking you to buy stuff you don't need. All right. Oh, it's yeah, obviously a different scale, for sure. Kosvari says, I turned a Hungarian chicken paprika's recipe. Really? Send it to me. Send it to me. I have friends from Hungary. I want to share it with them. Share it, put it in membership. If you're able to get the song, please share it with me. I want to share it with my friends. That is insane. I want to hear that. I want to hear that, please. Well, I'm happy to hear that the videos are helping. Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you. This is pretty much done as far as, you know, our live interaction. For now, we're going to go back to what you folks witnessed in the beginning. For those folks who are just coming, because this video is not out, right? You're watching the development of it live. So everything you watch for the first 1.5 hours, no one else has, I don't think anyone else has seen a recorder lick being transformed into a full-blown track. You know what I'm saying? From a measly little recorder, an alto recorder, taking that lick and building on it to get to a final track, taking the track out of Studio, putting it into an external DAW, taking the MIDIs from Studio, and getting a John Patitucci VST plugin to replace. Are you following the enormity of what we just did today? We got the John Patitucci acoustic bass plugin from Spectrasonics, and we used that to replace the bass MIDI that we got out of Studio. And then I used another VST to replace the drum kit that we got out of SUNO MIDI. You following me? So now we have 2 MIDI tracks from SUNO. It blows my mind, because hearing what SUNO does and being able to take the MIDI out and have insane control with high-end plugins. And a shout out to Spectrasonics, because Their Trillion bass plugins are sick. You got Abraham Laboriel on there. You got John Patitucci. You got Marcus Miller, the Marcus Miller. You got all those basses, and you're able to choose. So imagine taking the creative power of SUNO and throwing in throwing in good old Abe into that, or Marcus Miller, or Patitucci. It's ridiculous. And then we got a mix. We added some secret seasoning from the Harmony plugin, and I did the harmony, I did a lead vocal, and we took that mix and put it back into version 5. And version 5 just killed it. Version 5 brought it home. And when I say SUNO, you guys are sick. You're incorrigible. You are crazy. I mean it in every endearing way possible. Those people, I don't know what they're feeding SUNO, but whatever they're feeding SUNO is giving me what I want. It's giving me what I want. Anyway, jokes apart, there's the piece on Earth album. You can listen to the full thing. Okay. Oh, my website has Egyptian. I didn't even know that. Where is it hiding? Where's it hiding? You see the problem. I do too much. Oh, is it on the North Africa? Of course. Thank you. Thank you for being such a good student. So you know what I would love for you to do, Cobain? I'd love for you to try out some of the Egyptian and let me know if the prompts, if they generated something convincing. Let me know. Thank you for letting me know that, because I was going to go change that app right away. Thank you. Oh, Kenny Z. Hi, Kenny. How you doing? Good to see you again. Kenny says, I'm a producer. I won't get studio unless it has actual proper stems of every single track. So, yes, I mean, studio kind of does have that. It's just... It's just a little bit quirky at the moment. But as you will see from the video, if you haven't watched it, creating in studio needs patience. But look, I got an entire EP as a result of my experiment, starting from studio. Yeah. Ah, okay. Yeah, SUNO Studio has MIDI. It's insane. I couldn't believe it. I had to try it myself. That was the whole idea behind this experiment. The idea was to take it from 0 all the way to 100, and it didn't disappoint. It didn't disappoint me. Ah, okay. I haven't used DeepSeek for anything, but I'm glad that it's helping you. Nice. And that's what prompting is all about. You know, that's creative use of resource. You're being creative with your use of DeepSeek, and I like that. That's awesome. Enrico, how you doing? Enrico says, can you copyright your material, or does SUNO own it all? Can you actually buy SUNO Studio? So you can't buy SUNO Studio. It's like a software as a service. So you have to subscribe monthly for about $12 a month. As far as copyright, if you wrote the songs, if you're a human in the loop who wrote the lyrics, had some part to play in the instrumentation, you put your prompt into SUNO, and you are a paid subscriber, then you own the output. So for you to be able to copyright the output, you must own the lyrics, right? You must own the output by being a paid subscriber. Then if you are, then you could look at that as the ability to say, I own the copyright. Now, all of this stuff needs to stand up in a court of law, because if under scrutiny, someone produces an identical sounding track, and the possibilities of that happening is very little, but if it were to happen, it's going to be their date of copyright against yours for anything that sounds too identical. But again, I've covered it on this channel, how AI learns. And the way AI learns is through data analysis and extrapolating patterns. And then when you're cooking in SUNO, it's going to take your prompt and it's going to extract from what you're asking and from the patterns that it knows about a new dish. So the likelihood that it's going to copy a melody, very low. Now, I don't ask me, I don't work for Suno, but I'm assuming if the engineers, IT engineers, software engineers, right, technicians, scientists were thinking the same gates we have going into Suno that prevent you from putting in a track from Drake or someone else, it is going to filter out those same melodies when it is sending the track out. So it filters what is going in, and I want to wager, don't ask me, I'm just assuming that it is going to filter what comes out. Because if they have that filter on the front end, they should have it on the back end. True story. I tried to prompt audio for Mary Has a Little Lamb. Mary Had a Little Lamb. It didn't let me. It said, no, Mary Had a Little Lamb. No, this you don't own this. I tried to do This Old Man. No, you can't. I tried to do Amazing Grace. No. So very early in my experiments with Suno, I realized, wow, these folks, they ain't playing games. They're not letting you put in anything, even stuff that's in the public domain. If it's not yours, right, you're not going to be able to use it. So coming out, I believe they have those same gates as well, which would really make sense. All right, I hope that answers your question. Corbin says, I'm able to take my own works from my journals, text messages to my partner, diary. I like to jot. You are so creative. You see, that's what I'm saying. When people look at Suno users and say, you're not creative, that is creative right there. That is unbelievable. I love that. Rob says, I upgraded yesterday to take a look at SUNO Studio. Had my first go at it today. 6 glitches in a row. With every track singing the oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. You gotta love early days. Please have mercy on them. But definitely you might wanna not subscribe for too long. If you did the whole year, you're gonna have a wait before things become normal. But look at what I did here. It's just playing the long game. I have a second video where I tried this same recorder lick. I was so frustrated. I had to pack up. I was trying to do some Chinese music, which is why it's a pentatonic scale that I was using in this production, but I just couldn't get it to work. I got fed up and I went to bed. So sometimes SUNO Studio may just not work the way you want it, but you got to be ready to wrestle. Just play the long game, go back. Hi Peter, how you doing? Peter says, just like when people use other people's music live, and oh yes, exactly. That's totally illegal. Very, very bad. And it hurts the artist, which, it's sad. Yeah. Colors Vary Production says, GPT has advised me that all my music is legally approved and I should have zero problem. Yeah, and in the U.S. court of law, the U.S. system, like the Copyright Office, the Patent Office, whatever you want to call them, when they are looking at whether the music truly is yours, if there was zero human intervention, that could be hard to stand up in a court of law. But since you have so much input into your music, Colors Vary Productions, of course, right? Peter says, if you have an idea for a business, you register it. Same as, so yes, that's true. Colbin says, I type a journal entry, then describe the feel. Okay. Good. Okay. All right. Peter, you deep down under. That's cool. Okay. I just used your prompt from your website, did a demo. Oh, so you know what? We have like a post in the post section. Let me see if I can put it in here. Let me see if I can find it, because I've been asking people for the longest time to share their links, to share their creations under the, let me see if I can share this. I'm gonna put this in the chat, And anyone that has a link to share, kindly put it under that post. Because I've literally been asking everyone, do you have any music to share? Put it in that post, and I haven't gotten any takers. Nobody's put their music in there. Nobody. So if you're not able to post it in, let me know. But you should be able to post it in. Yeah. Okay. Let me know if you're able to post it or not, and if I need to go into the settings and do anything, let me know. But for the most part, anyone who is a subscriber to the channel, you should be able to post in the community section. Because I'm looking and I haven't gotten any posts in a long time from anyone. Nothing. I want to hear your music, and I want you to share with me how you created it, and if there are any bespoke tools. I'm going to add a community post. And hopefully you'll be able to post me some of your creations there. Yeah. I don't believe music is relegated to a select few, and I don't believe only a select few can make something decent out of music. When you think about it, why are you in music? We're not in music for the money. The real hardcore music people, no, they want to make the world a happier place. The reason why I started this channel was I wanted to make music democratized. I don't believe in holding on to the reins and saying, you don't know how to play an instrument, you don't deserve to be part of the music movement. I don't believe that. Simon Cowell can't play an instrument to save himself, but he's one of the most influential figures in music. Go figure that out. It's not about that. If you have a passion for the craft and you enjoy it, by all means, you know. My dad, rest his soul, he would play the radio, play his record player. And I grew up listening to a lot of classical music because he was such a classical junkie. He had so many classical records, it was ridiculous. And then my mom on the other side was a rock and roll person and liked all the 70s rock bands and the Beatles and Elvis. And they loved music. My parents loved music. So taking that love for music, I can imagine if my parents were able to get their hands on SUNO, they probably want to try some classical prompts or some rock and roll prompts. So that love for music is what I want to share with the world. We all, for the most part, we have an opinion about music or we love music. You know, my daughter, she was like the first person to give me my moment of truth when she showed me something that she'd created. And you got to understand, she's a gifted pianist in that she can hear things and, you know, play them. And I've been encouraging her to practice. Taught her the theory. Taught her the scales. She refused to practice. Then one day she comes to show me what she made using some AI tool. And I felt stumped because now she ain't going to practice because, hey, I can create what I want. So I was a little bit conflicted. In first of all, I felt, how dare this AI tool replace all my years of experience? And secondly, I was quite taken aback. Now I'm not going to be able to convince her to practice. She doesn't need to. She can do it at the touch of a button. But really, it's the love of music that matters. And I felt like you can't police how people want their music journey to evolve. You know, you then want to force someone to learn music. You shouldn't do that. If that's how she wants to express herself through music, let her express herself through music that way. At least all isn't lost. You get what I'm saying? So it took me some weeks. I was dazed, you know, but I started recovering, and that's when I started looking into AI music a little bit more and started being more receptive. I felt really at sea when she showed me that. I didn't know what to feel. I just felt lost. I felt somewhat almost cheated in that the playing field has been leveled. Wow, now everyone's going to be able to do what I do, you know, because for the longest time, for those of us who are musicians and producers, I'm a little bit different. We producers may be a little bit different because, you know, and I'm not just talking about executive producers, I'm talking about producers who are behind the scenes creating the music, arranging the parts, arranging the horns, being able to juxtapose the melody with the harmonies and knowing when it fits and when it doesn't. Now, to have that taken away from you and to have a tool, be able to suggest, okay, that's going to be a B flat, major 7, sharp 9. And this is the harmony. Okay. And here's the entire song. What? So it took a while for me to be able to accept that. But I realized just because the tool can do that doesn't mean everyone's going to use that. You need to still be a musician to unlock that functionality. So if you don't have musical knowledge and you're using SUNO, you're going to have a great time nonetheless. But if a musician is using it, they can use it more intentionally, right? It's like if Miles Davis were to have picked up one of the worst trumpets that ever existed, as long as he could get a note out of it, he could do magic with it. And I see AI the same way. When a skilled hand takes on AI, the sky's the limit. When a non-musician takes on AI, you can get some really great output as well. But the musician should always have an edge, you know. And I don't say that to spite anyone that's not a musician. I'm just giving musicians their rightful props and encouraging them to look into it. Instead of fighting the AI, try to embrace the ideas that AI brings and the challenges. I talk about it on this channel all the time. Do you know that I was challenged by AI? You know, I was actually challenged by AI in that I created a piece based on, you know, I played piano live one day on my other channel on YouTube. And by the way, if you're not subscribed to my other channel, I want to encourage, this has to be an album. However, the Artifact imps were there to play. The Artifact imps came out and I said, okay, I know I want to release this, but it's not good enough. There are too many artifacts in this piano. So do you know what I came out of SUNO and went to the piano. And I played it all with the ideas, watch this, with the ideas that SUNO had embellished. I'm like, how dare you? I gave you my music with my stuff being played. Good to see you. Goldfingers VA says, I love to use SUNO as an idea starter. I just take what it gives me and play around with it. Yeah, that's a good way of using it. It's a great way. It is a great way to keep your music, and it challenges you as a musician. I needed AI to give me a kick in the, before I went to my Motif, because I don't fire up my Motif XF8 because I love the piano action on it, and I love all of these Steinway samples I have, but I don't use them a lot. But when AI kicked me in the behind, I said, well, all this conversation. And for those who missed the first part, now you have the opportunity to watch it again, because it's not on YouTube. All this stuff that I'm raving about, put out the full breakdown on YouTube. But right now we've just got the video. So let's roll the tape and have fun with it. Again, thank you all for your awesome. Oh, hello, my friend. I hope you're doing well. I hear that you are having a little bit of second thoughts about SUNO, especially those of you all the fanfare about SUNO Studio, but you don't know what to do with it because you're not a musician. I understand. Let's jump into SUNO and let me explain what all the fanfare is. SUNO plus SUNO version 5 are some of the most work with in this day and age of ours. But I know lots of you are on the fence because you're not musicians and you're like, well, I've got SUNO 4.5. Now they're asking me to upgrade to get version 5 upgrade. Trust me, 5 is really good. Now, Studio is a whole different ball game. Explain what's going on. In SUNO Studio, you have the option of creating more dynamically, like a boss, like a producer, right, in the production seat. When you come into SUNO Studio, first of all, there's a lot of activity. It's a bit of a chaotic layout, I have to be honest. And there are different layouts. You got horizontal, you've got vertical. You may be a little until they get to the final cooking point. You could be quite frustrated in here. You could be frustrated trying to align what the system comes up with your original audio that you recorded onto the timeline. You could also be a bit frustrated if you're used to getting reverb plugins and delays, compression. You don't have that in here. You have the metronome, right? You can turn the metronome on or off. You can adjust to be manual or to be driven in other ways. And maybe you're trying to start the metronome and you don't understand why it's not starting. It's because you've not armed the track. There's so many things that could frustrate a beginner in here. I'll just tell you straight up. And then when you come up, you can export multi-track. But if you've never done anything with multi-track, you might as well just stay. Okay. This is a recording I did last night on my altar recorder, which is in the woodwind family. Flute. So I could take my recorder and just boom, drop it right in here. So if you don't have an instrument or a vocal or something to import, well, maybe you could look for something that you've done in the past from SUNO, but it really works nice when you've got something organic that you've recorded and you want to experiment to see, what can SUNO do to top that? So next thing you would do is you would click on the add track, you would add a track, and then you could choose this, right, from here all the way to where it ends. And you could then say, I want to add percussion. And the style, you can just say, let's see. Let me give you a spin around my website. So, if you go to philc.net, I have a lot of environments here. So if you want to experiment and do what I'm doing, follow me to my website. It's philc.net. Let's move this away from here for a second. And let's bring in philc.net. So go to philc.net, go to environment generator, look for, okay, let's do Neo Soul. Let's just take everything as is, right? And let's say I want something worldish. Hit generate prompt. Let's copy that. And let's go back in here. And now for this, I'm going to prompt it to say Neo Soul. So I got to be careful. You see, this is part of where you got to watch it. You don't want to ask it to create sense. So you could say a chill and relaxed Neo Soul drum track. Okay. With a steady, punchy groove. All right, say done. And the next step is to just go ahead and create. It's going to cost me 10 credits though. So for those of you who are very credit conscious, this is probably not what you want to do, because some people be like, I don't want to spend my 5 credits. Now you got 10 credits just for one instrument. You get what I'm saying? This is why I tell lots of you who don't have enough credits, it will get you winded very quick. So let's go ahead and play what this has done. So the logic of the system, you can see, even though I asked it to give me drums, it added in a bass. It was unsolicited. I didn't want it to add in a bass, but it did. So there's a number of things I could do. I could remix this section, right? I could add a new instrument. So let me do that. Let me add one more instrument. So a new track, and let me show you what else you could do. You could just arm the track by first of all selecting an input. So if I find a microphone that I want, let's use my USB mic, and you have to arm the track. And let's say I wanted to play my recorder again. Let's grab my recorder real quick, because I'm going to show you that if you wanted to multi-track on this thing, yeah, you can multi-track. So let's multi-track, and I'm just going to record directly on top of this thing, okay? Let's record directly on top, and here's my recorder. And to record, just hit the record button and improvise if you are an improviser. Here we go. Application error. A client-side exception has occurred. Uh-oh. Let me hit refresh. Don't be alarmed. These things happen. All right. I might have hit the record button one too many times. But just redo that. It'll go back to its original state, and you just hit record, and let's go. So that is the overdub. Now what you can do as a musician, you immediately think left and right, panning for that panning effect. So you could move one of these. Let's make it bigger so you can see what I'm doing. You can move one of these to the left and the second to the right. And when you're playing them back, you're going to have that dual effect. So what I'm hearing here is some additional elements. I can one more time add another track. I can select here like that, and I could choose some strings, and I just say nice lush viscous strings, widely panned. I could even say orchestral feel, and say done, and just go ahead and create. And again, when you get your rendered track, you can pan the strings wherever you want. This is the fun that we musicians have, because we know the cause and effect of these DAWs, right? Even though it's not finished, we can get to a pretty satisfactory level of musical performance. We can export it, take it to another DAW, blow it out, get even crazier. So let's see what it has done. Check this out. Wow. So when you finally move this to a different DAW, you could go to town with these strings and move them up and down however you will. Very, very much like a real orchestra. Sounds good. Put in the drums. So this is part of what I'm talking about. This sounds really good, but there's just one thing that I need to sort out, and that is the strings need to be moved more to the, how do I say it, more to the front of the timeline. They are lagging. The strings are lagging. So as a musician, I know exactly what to do. I'm just going to shorten this a little bit. I'm going to hold down Control Z. I'm going to hold the Control key down, and I'm going to, with the Control key held down, I am going to first of all shorten this a little bit, and then I'm going to try my best to move it to sync on the beat. You can tell that this probably needs to move a few rectangles forward. Let's see how much it needs to move. Let's try and get it caught up. Almost. See? So my friends, I hope this is giving, and it's getting there, and we're part of the pioneers helping it get there. So I celebrate that. You know, I'm quite happy to be part of the first group of people that ever used the tool. I think it's a really awesome tool. It's not exactly there completely, but it's getting there. Okay. Now, what do you do when you have downloaded these things? There's so many things you could do. In addition, multi-track instruments is going to look like this. It's going to look like this. So as a result of me not naming the tracks, it comes as track 1, 2, and so on. I should have actually named prior. So let's see if I can do that again, multi-track. And while that's cooking, I'm going to show you a different DAW. This is Mixcraft, right? And for Mixcraft, there is a different layout. Because Mixcraft is what it has been for many years, it's easier to move around, to add your plugins and all that, which you can't do. Same for Logic and Pro Tools. You can kind of run circles around most DAWs by using those alternatives. But if you're using something like Studio, you don't have that much flexibility. But anyway, let's go ahead and let me show you what I'm talking about, because you can just take all of these and move them straight into your DAW once you have extracted them. So I'll have to extract them first. I just put that on solo. I want to show you some things you can't do. So if I wanted to put a big old reverb on my original recorder, I can do that here. And there are many more plugins and effects that I could use. Got a So, I mean, that was difficult for you to understand what is going on. And even if you do know something weird is going on, the control, you know, being able to control what you're doing could be very limiting. You know, you'd not be able to control what you're doing. So for this, I'm going to try to get the strings to lock in with the drums yet again. Bring in the bass. Larger hall. The bass from the recording, and I went with the bass is fat. We can make it fatter with this 31 band. Tweak it up a bit. Just a little bit. It's got a nice mid pluck to it as well.